You know, we might have a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. All these lights, though, that we've seen recently have been very short-lived. We've got another system headed our way, but also rock and mudslide potential. And that's something we're going to keep kind of in the back of our heads here with this next go-around as we see a lot of moisture streaming in. Now, across the country, I'm sure your eyes are drawn to the Midwest. We had another bout of severe weather today for the south central U.S. as this system tracks across that part of the country. This threat will shift a little bit further to the east tomorrow. So if you have any friends or family down here, you might want to give them a heads up.
Erin was out trick-or-treating tonight, getting recognized as the weather nerd.
It was amazing. It was dark and people still were like, hey,
anybody asking for the forecast as you were out there?
Kind of, a little bit,
yeah,
as we were all kind of blowing away.
You can trade them candy for forecast. That's a fair trade.
Deal.
Although we celebrate nerds because you are a role model woman in science.
Love it.
Inspiring our young viewers to go into meteorology and other science.
So, nerds are cool, guys.
Nerds are cool.
They're really cool. Go STEM. Do it. I've literally been nerding out though today, looking at some weather models, watching kind of how this next few days will play out, watching moisture move in on top of colder air moving in, and we've got our first shebang of the season. A lot of us could be talking some pretty significant valley accumulation, especially if you're going to be closer to the continental divide. Of course, first things first, it's Halloween. We got to share a couple of photos. I wish we could get just a little of that moisture, just a little bit. Not in our forecast though. We've got high pressure in place, and with no rain, we continue to talk this insane drought for us across the Treasure State. This is outside right now. You're looking at a conglomeration of little pieces of grapple. That's what we're hearing here in the studio. It is just really coming down out there. So we are going to continue to see this rain-snow mix for a lot of folks in west central Montana, all snow in northwest Montana. You ready for this?
Doing it?
I'm ready.
Compacted it.
Oh, you
Boom.
guys.
Yes.
It works.
Drive safe. It's very easy to make out when you look at radar imagery. The parent system right here, that low, spinning counterclockwise in this sort of comma shape associated with it is the trailing cold front. And that does continue to shove off towards the east. We do have a little wet weather across the panhandle of Texas and Oklahoma currently. Also some sporadic showers and storms for the southwest. The Pacific Northwest, though, high and dry. We've got high pressure over us right now. And that's the reason we saw the sunshine today, if you were able to see above the haze or the smoke in some of our valleys, the dry conditions and the heat as well. A lot of folks in the northern Rockies dealing with those conditions. A lot of folks wondering when we are going to see some relief in our air quality department. I hate to say it, but this I think is in it for the long term. Welcome back. I'm kind of feeling like Oprah. You get a white Christmas. You get a white Christmas. Everybody gets a white Christmas. We've got a lot of snow that we've seen out there, and we're 5 days away. The good news is it's not going anywhere anytime soon. In those clouds, a lot of moisture, not as much that has fallen just to the west of us. We have a viewer photo to show you just how much. This photo is from Colleen. She was driving back from Spokane this morning. She said she had to stop and snap this photo in Idaho. So this would be the panhandle somewhere off of Interstate 90. And that's just some of the flooding that they're dealing with. Right now across the northwest quarter of the state, this is an area in particular that I'm watching. We've got some strong thunderstorms that have already moved into the Kootenai cabinet. That's just one of those times where you're just like, good old Montana weather.
We gotta go.
I mean, we get a little bit of everything literally sometimes, and the reason for that today is we had those really warm Chinook winds. If you take your hands and rub them really, really fast, what happens to your hands?
Oh, that's a good description.
They get warm.
They warm.
Yeah.
So think of the wind going down the Rocky Mountain front like that, and it warms up the air. So they were warm today, not so much just a little bit further to the east. Today for us, we were pretty close to normal, so nothing big for us. Man, there's 3 of them going on at the same time in the Atlantic right now. That's the first time in 7 years that's happened. For us, totally different. We have a ridge of high pressure. We're not talking low pressure.
Good fish weather, really, when it comes right down to it. Chief Meteorologist Erin Yost brings us the latest conditions out there. Erin?
Yeah, and I heard the squalls are out, so we've got that going for us too. Yeah, weather-wise today, a little dicey, some showers all over the place, even some mountain snow, and those snow levels will continue to lower here too over the next couple of mornings. Now also because we are dealing with decreasing cloud cover and kind of a drier air mass in place, we will have the potential for some patchy morning fog tomorrow morning. Those hurricane force winds are felt about 50 miles out from that eye wall, tropical storm force winds can extend outward of about 180, 190 miles. So although this system does pack a punch right there in the middle of it with the eye, depending on the track that it takes in this cone of uncertainty, everybody's going to be impacted by it. I mean, this thing is a beast. It's huge. I've seen a couple of comparisons between Irma and Andrew from back in the 90s, and Irma is about twice the size. So it is a very serious system. And not only do we have Irma, we have Katia.
For more on that, let's take it over to Chief Meteorologist Erin Yost. She has her first forecast now. Erin.
Jill, that's Chief Nerd tonight. Just, you know.
Oh, nerd.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll let it slide this time. Yeah, thank goodness Halloween doesn't fall tomorrow or on the subsequent days, because it would not be pleasant for us trick-or-treaters. Right now, we're getting some heavier rain from many shower and thunderstorms across the Bitterroot into the Sapphires, moving towards the Flint Creek Valley. We will continue to see this here over the overnight hours. A lot of the big stuff has already moved through, at least that wind potential, but things are going to stay very active again overnight tonight. We have like some side of the yard that the grass is way taller, because you could tell where like the gutters push out the rain. It's like right there. I know some people, sorry, this might be TMI, some people's like septic. Like,
oh yeah,
like it,
grass is always greener
really
over the septic tank. That's what Irma Bombeck used to say.
Okay.
It was her whole book.
Glad I'm not the
yeah.
only one that
No,
noticed that, but like people need to start mowing. So that's on our agenda for tomorrow.
You get done in the morning.
Do that and then go camping tomorrow night. No, it's probably going to rain on you though Saturday night to your buddy that's going camping, because we do have that next system quickly moving in. Unfortunately, with ridges of high pressure, you get pretty calm, stagnant conditions, and that does not help our air quality. Right now, these are the latest readings from Montana DEQ.
Spin-off, so what's the official word?
The little vortices,
Vortices,
like
yeah,
within
coming
the
off of
eye
that
wall.
thing,
Yeah. What happens when you get these really big hurricanes is what's called an eye wall replacement cycle. And it sounds freaky, but think of it. You've got a bigger eye wall, a more organized eye wall that takes over the already strong one. And it's a beast. It just keeps strengthening and just getting more and more intense. The pressure drops even further. It's a very scary thing to see such powerful hurricanes
Some of this footage
go
we're
right
seeing
over
coming
these
out is
islands. Of course, on the flip side of that, in the western United States, things very dry, things very warm. If you're a baseball fan, World Series tonight in LA, 103 degrees for that first pitch. It is now the hottest World Series on record. The old record, postseason, of course, the old record was, I think, 94 in Phoenix from 2001. So this one just blew that record out of the park, literally. So very, very hot way down there. You like that? Yeah, I try sometimes. So really, really hot out to the south and the west. Yeah, so we're in central Missoula right now, and I'm pretty sure I heard my garbage cans in the northern Bitterroot. It is blowing out there, and this is a cold front now making its way through the northern Rockies. We will see peak wind gusts up until about maybe 7 o'clock tonight, so we're not quite done just yet.
So here we go.
Oh my,
just because all of you have done your part out there. You know, Missoula Electric Co-op brought in a trailer full of turkeys today. I didn't know they were going to do that.
That's really cool.
Okay, here we go.
That's not cool.
Bottoms up.
That's a
Dennis.
lot.
Bottoms up. Here we go. To all you turkey donations out there.
It's turkey gravy.
Oh, no sound effects.
He did it. He did it.
That's good stuff. Of course, my wife made it, so I have to say
it's good. Yes, it's.
Hey, I got a couple for you guys.
Oh, thank you. You know, I'm so full from dinner, I couldn't possibly eat it.
Hang on.
Hey,
I need a chaser.
oh my God.
No, I'll do that.
Put the weather photo on. I'm leaving right now because I'm not.
There's a lot of extra. It's just a little salty.
Oh, that's sweet. We've got a trough of low pressure moving into the Pacific Northwest, and you can always make these out because the low, the parent low that sits in a trough of low pressure, spins counterclockwise. So notice you can kind of see this flow in all the clouds and all the precipitation indicating that trough. Now what we did see earlier today is this line right here, which is a cold front, move through western Montana. That is now racing off towards the central and eastern portion of the Treasure State. Folks over there today ahead of the front, well into the 60s, even a couple of low 70s in the mix. But as we sit behind it, we do continue to see cooler air filtering in. There's some places there in those aforementioned areas that could see a foot, maybe 2 feet of rain when all is said and done.
Oh,
yeah, in the United States. So yeah, just a fraction of that. If we could just
a little bit, just a bucket. That's all we have. Just
bit.
A couple of buckets.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Instead, we're going to continue with our pretty dry weather pattern. Today was fantastic. It was the warmest day in Kalispell we have seen since November 10th of last year. We officially hit 59 degrees. It's about 8 degrees above our norm. Not a record, but it sure felt nice. Bath water,
Yeah.
in order
Yeah,
to survive. It
essentially. Yeah.
feeds the storm, it keeps it going, and it doesn't like wind. So when you get these perfect conditions that, Irma has seen and, Harvey saw
Harvey,
right
yeah.
over the Gulf of Mexico, they can just explode. And
Scary stuff.
strengthen and
Still a 5.
still a 5,
Yeah.
still a 5. This is where we're now starting to see our atmospheric river poised to move in, make its way inland, and it's bringing with it quite a bit of moisture. Now you can see where that's located. It's that narrow, intense band of moisture, and it does have subtropical origin. So we're talking moisture being tapped in from around Hawaii. That's the reason we're going to see so much. And it's also the reason we're going to talk some warmer air kind of moving in on top of our colder air as well.
When you start to get text warnings about what's coming, that gets
like
your
that?
attention. Yes.
Normally it's like a road closure or something like that.
Hey,
An accident
here comes some
happens.
snow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be a little interesting to see what happens. I'm a little concerned with some of those higher elevated valleys in southwest Montana.
Yeah.
You have to think, a spring snowstorm we can handle. Like, it's no big deal, right?
Yeah.
But all of our trees and bushes have started to leaf, and those things act like little bowls, little cups, and they can just hold on to so much more
Yeah,
snow
and you've got the weight
Brings
of
them
what's
down.
than
already
a
on the
typical
boughs. and-
winter storm, and it just can bring things down. So we're worried about tree limbs breaking, obviously falling onto roadways, perhaps power lines. We might get some power outages. So this, as fast as it's going to move in and move out, and the impacts are going to leave us really quick because things melt really easily this time of year, it could cause some damage. So before we get to it, quick look nationally. We're going to say hi to all of our friends on the East Coast and say, you guys enjoy that ridge. We loved it last week. We're going to see some snow now. It's totally different across the country right now. Some folks seeing near record highs with a lot of heat building with that ridge. For us, again, totally opposite. We've got the trough of low pressure, hence the unsettled conditions. Now there's our baby. That's that low pressure system spinning counterclockwise. It'll slide just to the south and the east of us, but it puts it in the perfect position for us to see not only this first blast, but everywhere it travels around us. We're going to be dealing with that consistent wraparound moisture, and eventually it's going to run into the Rocky Mountain front, and we see what's called upslope flow, and that just really makes that storm have a little bit more oomph. And it's got a lot of cold air associated with it, so unfortunately that oomph is going to come with some snow all the way down to a lot of our lower elevations. Right now we're ahead of the cold front, so most of our valleys seeing scattered rain today, even up at the higher terrain, but that will change rather soon. We've already had reports in Idaho that those snow levels are starting to drop along with the temperatures with the passage of that front. A lot of our area is great right now. Georgetown Lake, top middle, excuse me, that's gonna be one place that by about this time tomorrow could be looking at a half a foot of snow on the roadway. So we have winter weather advisories and warnings to talk about. Here are the advisories. These are a little bit lesser of a concern, although they are a concern. Below 4,000 feet here, a trace to 3 inches. This includes the Flathead, Mission, Missoula, and Bitterroot valleys. Higher amounts of that end will be found the further south you go. Now above 4,000 feet here, we could see 4 to 8 inches of snow. That would include Lookout Pass. Now this is a little bit more serious. Winter storm warnings, these are for mainly elevations above 4,000 feet, but those valley locations like Phillipsburg, Butte, Anaconda, Georgetown Lake, we're going to be on the higher end of this spectrum, and definitely up in the higher terrain, including area passes located in this pink shade, we could be easily looking at a half a foot to a foot plus of snow. And again, any of that on top of newly leafed trees could cause a problem. Here's our time lapse in Missoula, St. Patrick Hospital, ICAM 47. And we're going to drop a little bit more than that as we head into tomorrow. Everybody across western Montana generally in the upper 40s to upper 50s. We've got 60 in Knox and Florence at 46. Columbia Falls checking in with 50 degrees. Eastern Montana, it'll eventually catch up with them as well. Not to the scope of what we're going to see, but those folks right now sitting well into the 60s. Our lows tonight, mid 30s, and that will promote a rain-snow mix. Do not be surprised if by tomorrow morning you're waking up to snowflakes across west central and southwest Montana. So this is what it looks like tomorrow morning, 5:30. That system is moving in, and it will continue to precipitate throughout much of the day. Those daytime highs aren't going to rise very much. Most of us will top out in the mid 40s. If you're lucky, you'll be in that 50-degree range, but some of our valleys in southwest Montana won't make it out of the 30s, which is significantly lower than the average. We will see this system wrapping up by very early Thursday morning. As Thursday progresses, we're going to see those highs rebounding nicely. We'll hold on to mostly cloudy skies. By Friday, partly sunny conditions, highs in the low 60s, much closer to normal for this time of year, almost like it didn't happen. I hope we don't have to talk about power outages and treacherous road conditions, but if we do, we'll be here for you.